Hello everyone. This is Mohit Sharma, a first year student at Sitare, and today I'm going to explain the concept of nested loops in this video. This video is regarding our assignment that was given by our professor, Dr. Kushal sir, and we need to explain nested loops in this assignment. Here is the video. First of all, before nested loops, we need to understand what are loops. Let's understand loops. Loops are basically tools which are used to execute a group of statements or code a certain number of times. That means repeatedly or multiple times. There are two types of loops, for loop and while loop. So uh, Suppose you are given a task to print your name 5 times. The traditional method goes that you will be writing the print statement 5 times. But this is very inactive and very hard, very ineffective method. We can be use loops in this in the place. Um, we can use for loop or while loop. Two types of loops are there, basically for loop and while loop. The for in Python, the for loop, it can iterate over a sequence of iterable objects. Iterable objects include list, tuple, dictionary, string, and range. The for loop can access one element at a time, and then we can perform the operations on it. The while loop performs differently. In while loop, it executes only when the condition is true. As soon as the condition becomes false, the interpreter comes out of the loop, as you can see in the screen. Now we have nested loops. Nested loops means loop under a loop. Basically we have studied two loops, for loop and while loop. By the combination of these two loops, we can create the nested loops. Nested, for example, if you create for under for, while under while, or for under while, or while under for. These are all basically examples of nested loops. Why nested loops? Nested loops gives us the opportunity to perform complex iterations over different data structures like a list or a tuple. One thing to note is that if you use a loop one time, its time complexity will be big O of n. Using loop two times will give the time complexity of big O of n square, and then in three times will give time complexity of big O of n cube. We have to keep in mind that if we have the opportunity to use the loop only one time, then we should go for it. We should not use multiple loops as it will increase our time complexity. So now we will be understanding nested loops through practical. Hello everyone. This is Mohit Sharma, a first year student at Sitare, and today I'm going to explain the concept of nested. Now we will be understanding the concept of nested loops with the help of a practical example. In this example, we are having a college where a student is where you are assigned a task to calculate the number of students in each classroom. There are multiple classrooms, and you are given the task to count the number of students in each classroom. What should be the approach? For this, we will be creating a list of a classroom list that will contain all the classrooms that are present in the college, and the each element of the classroom list will be containing the names of the students that are present in the respective classroom. In order to calculate the number of students in each classroom, first we will create a list, number of students list. Then we will be then we have to loop through the classroom list, and then we have to again loop through each element of the classroom list, and then we have to count the number of students, and then append to the list, append to the number of student list. You can see the Python code that I have written here. Basically here I have created three classrooms. First is having Mohit, Rohit, and Rahul. The second one is having Yash and Yuvraj. And the third one is having Chirag, Shivam, Gaurav, and Prabhat. We have initialized a number of student list, which is an empty list. Here we will be storing the number of student values. Now we are having now we will be looping through the classroom list, and now first we will initialize the count variable as 0. The important thing to note is that we have to initialize this count variable here only. If we initialize outside the loop, then there will be a logical error that each classroom will be having that students including the previous classroom also. So this won't happen if we initialize the count variable inside the loop. Then we will again loop through in the each element and count the number of students through the count variable, and we will be appending the count value to the number of student list, and finally we will print the number of student list. As you can see the code also here, the first classroom is having 3, the second is having 2, and the last one is having 4 students. So now let's understand the concept of message loops through a mm, through a question of the concept for problems. First, we have this question that we are given a list of distinct numbers and we have to return another list which contains the sum of all pairs of the given list. And one thing to note is that the same pair should not be taken twice. So suppose you are having a list of numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then you have to create pairs like 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5 is a pair, and you have to turn their sum. For example, the pair of 1, 2 will have sum 3, 1, 3 will have sum 4, 1, 4 will have sum 5, 1, 5 will have sum 6. Then you have to return the sum of all such pairs, and it should not be repeated, like 2, 1 cannot be there as 1, 2 is already included. So what we will do is we will create a function, new list function, and we will um, here we will create new list uh, uh, a new list a list called named as new list that will be containing the sum or, and then we have to loop till the range uh, till the length of the given list. Then we will again loop from and from the item next to the current item till the last element. Suppose you are in the first element, then you have to make pairs. In order to make pairs, you will first go to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. So we will loop through the loop from next item to the current item to the last item, and we will be adding their sum to the initialized list, that is new L, and finally we will return it. So one more question that we can do through the concept of nested loops is the factorial question. In this question, we have a list of positive integers and we have to turn a list of all factorial of the numbers. So it's also the same thing. We will define a function called factorial list, and with that will take input as an a list as an input. We will define a factorial list which will be an empty list. Then we will loop through each element of the num list, and here we will initialize our f equal to 1 because we have to calculate factorial. Factorial is basically uh, multiplication of all numbers from 1 to that number. So then we will again loop from 1 to that particular number and multiply all those numbers to in the f variable, and we will be appending that f variable in the fact list, and finally we will return the fact list. So I hope you are were able to understand. So now we will be understanding the concept of nested loops with the help of a practical example. So in this example